So I saw something today in my neighborhood that got me thinking. I saw a teenager, riding his bike through the neighborhood. And like most teenagers, he wasn't paying attention. And neither did I, and neither did you. Well, they're probably worse now. Maybe I'm just saying that because I'm an old man, though. I don't know. But this young guy, he was extremely lucky, let's say. Let's say that the universe was working in his favor. Because as he came to a stop sign, he decided to go right through it. And when he did that, he went right into the side of a car. He didn't go over the front of the car. He didn't go behind the car. He went right into the side of the car. Caused a good amount of damage to the girl's car and to his bike as well. Brand new electrical bike from what I could see. One of those battery operated ones. But instantly, we ran over, made sure everybody was okay. But instantly all I could start thinking about was 2 seconds more. 2 seconds more. If he had literally gone 2 seconds faster, maybe a couple of milliseconds, but you get what I'm saying, he would have been in front of that car. And what I'm bringing this whole real talk for today is choices. And are we ready to make these choices and live with the consequences? Now, at the age of 50, I already caught on to this whole thing that every action has a reaction. It's just a universal law. I mean, everything changes, yes, and everything moves, yes, but depending on which way you make it move, it's going to have a different reaction. Plenty of us throughout our lives, I'm sure, have made all kinds of choices that we would consider even mistakes. I just put up a video for mistakes, and that video is a good explanation of why you shouldn't fault yourself with mistakes, but learn to grow from them. And hopefully this kid will learn. I mean, we all told him how lucky he was, how blessed he was. I hope that sunk into him. But we've all need to learn from those mistakes. But what I'm getting at is I started thinking about how every action has a reaction, and they all add up to where you are right now. Listen, we've all done things. I've done plenty of things that I am not proud of. I've done plenty of things that I've had plenty of things done to me that I'm sure that person's not proud of. Maybe they are, I don't know. But you have to look at your life, and you have to realize that if certain choices weren't made, or certain decisions, or even just blowing through a stop sign wasn't done, you wouldn't be where you are now. Now, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. You might be in a horrible situation. You might be in a great situation. You might just be in a normal, everyday, run-of-the-mill situation. But more than likely, you made that choice. Now, I'm sure that if you're in a bad situation, you say, oh, it wasn't my fault. It was that guy's fault or this guy's fault. Well, it may have been their fault at the time, but if it's still happening years later, then it's your fault. I'm sorry to be blunt, but it's true. Listen, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it until the day I decide to go, or until the day that the universe decides for me to go. And that is, the only person that's holding you back from your happiness is you. That's it. It's nobody else's fault. It's the same thing with me. If you had told me 10 years ago, 20 years ago, hey, someday you're going to be making YouTube videos about feel-good spiritual stuff, I would have probably slapped you silly or told you to get the F away from me. But here I am. Because in the last 10 years, I have made choices. I have created actions that had reaction to it. I have changed parts of my life for the better, and some for the worse, that have gotten me to the point that I'm at now. And I'm by no way finished. I'm probably not where I want to be, but I know I'm not where I was. Everything that we do, every choice, every mistake, every right decision, everything, it all has to play out with what's going to come ahead. If I hadn't quit drinking, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I would either A, be dead, or B, still drinking and not care about any of this stuff, because when I drank, I didn't care about nobody. Not myself, not anybody else, and certainly not YouTube subscribers. I was Mr. Negative, Mr. Nihilistic, Mr. Everything. I was an asshole, let's put it that way. Now, I've made choices that led me up to that drinking. Circumstances came my way. Now, I'm not blaming my drinking on those circumstances, but that was my choice, just like I was saying earlier that you're the only one that's holding you back. But I made choices and circumstances happened to me that put me in that situation. Just like that kid that ran that stop sign, he's going to have to live with that for now. Maybe they did bring him to the hospital, so maybe his wrist was hurting, so maybe he broke his wrist in a way that he won't be able to ever swing a bat the right way. I pray that that's not true, but if it's something, I can guarantee you from having something similar like that happen to me when I was a child, that he will remember that for the rest of his life. And hopefully that guides his decisions. Because as I just said in the video that I just released, that's what all the mistakes are about. They're to learn from them and hopefully not make them again. I'm definitely guilty of that. I've definitely made mistakes more than once. Same thing over and over again. I won't even get into my marriage. So everything leads up to this point. Everything that you've gone through, everything, that's the thing too, is I want to go back to that, how it depends on what your situation is now. Listen, if you're out there and you feel like everybody, the world's against you, you're against yourself, everything's against you, and you're not doing good, and you're living by pennies on the dollar right now and stuff, I get it. I understand. I've been there. I have. And I understand how it's hard. And when I say a person like me says, oh, the only person who can change it is you, I know that comes off as, hey, listen to this asshole. But by being there and going through the experience myself, I can tell you that unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it may seem unfortunate, but it's true. The only person that's going to be able to correct that is you. Nobody else is going to give it to you. You can sit around, you can wait for the government, local, state, family, friends, whatever. You can wait for people to enable you, but that isn't going to change the situation. So I understand where you're coming from if you hear that. And you can call me out in the comments if you want. I'm more than willing to discuss what I've gone through. But what I'm getting at is, me personally, going through that, going through my drinking, going through being homeless on the streets, going through all these things in the last, we'll say, 35 years of my life. I've been on my own since I was 15. All those things, all the things that I did to survive, things that I'm not proud of, but all those things that I had to do, or those things that I did do, or the things that were done to me, led me to where I am right now. And I'm thankful for every single one of them. Even though I hate them, even though I hate myself for doing some of them, even though I despise that I ended friendships and relationships where those bridges are burned beyond repair and there's no repairing them, I'm still thankful for where I am. And I've forgiven myself. And you have to do the same. Because every decision that I've ever made and every decision that you ever make will have a consequence. It will have a decision brought back to it. It doesn't have to be a good thing. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. But it will have a reaction. Every decision. You make thousands of decisions a day. You probably don't think that you do, but you do. You make thousands. When you're driving a car alone, from your house to work, say it's a half an hour drive, you're making hundreds of decisions. Your brain is calculating non-stop. Whenever you make a decision in your life that pertains to either your happiness or your succession, remember that. Remember how it's going to have a reaction. Now, I'm not saying don't decide to do things. I always tell people, hey, if it's not hurting you or hurting anybody else mentally or physically, go do that thing. If you like to go ride seesaws, but you're 50, go ride a seesaw. Call a friend, see if they want to go. If not, I'll see if I can get to you. I love seesaws. Make the decisions to have fun. Make the decisions, if you're not hurting anybody, do it. But realize that every single one of those decisions is going to have, I don't want to say repercussion or consequence because that sounds like a bad thing, but it's going to have a reaction to it. So before you go grab your cup of coffee, wherever you grab it, and you decide to just fly out of the drive-through window, think about that real quick. That's the thing that I see the most. I see in everyday life. I see people making snap judgments or snap decisions without even thinking them through and going into the side of a car. If that kid was a couple of seconds earlier, that would have changed his whole life if he had one remaining. Now again, I'm not trying to judge anybody. I'm not doing that. I'm not trying to sound egotistical either. Like I said, I've gone through all kinds of stuff in my life. If I was to do a real talk about what I've been through in the last 35 years, and I'm not saying it would be any worse than any of yours, because I know plenty of people around the world have gone through horrors that I cannot even imagine. But what I'm saying is, if I add all that up, I look back, I'm just like all of you. I look back and I think about my past, my mistakes, and the things that I've done. And thankfully, most of the times, I've learned that I need to move past it and stop thinking about it. I need to clear my thoughts. And I've done that. But at the same time, I think about those things. And I think, what if I didn't divorce my ex-wife? Or, sorry, I should say, what if she didn't divorce me? Would I be where I am right now? No. But would I still be with her? Probably not. It's all these little things. If you just think for a couple of minutes, think about the worst thing that happened to you. Like, My divorce actually wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to me, but if you think about things such as that and you say, oh, why? Because that's the biggest thing, folks. We all think about, oh, if only that didn't happen, if only that didn't happen. But if that didn't happen, you're not guaranteed that it would have happened later or that something worse would have happened. So say me and my ex-wife had stayed married and we went on, we didn't have any children together, but say that we did. Say we decided to have children. We worked out our marriage and we had children. And then we got divorced after that. You see what I'm saying? So going back and changing things doesn't guarantee it's going to work. It's the old, kill baby Hitler thing. Like, you can go back and do that, but that doesn't mean somebody else isn't going to pop up in their place. It's, what do you call it? The butterfly effect, Listen, it's like I said, I'm ranting now, but it's like I said, I'm not proud of the things that I've done in my past. And it feels weird saying it, and I don't know if I'd be able to say it to the people that I've hurt in my life. But I'm thankful that that happened at that time because it all brought me here. And that sounds very selfish, I know, but even at the same time, my ex-wife and I, when we divorced, one of our biggest things was that I didn't want to have children. And when we divorced, we stayed friends and everything was fine. And she went off and found somebody that wanted to give her children, wanted to give her a better life, the life that I was unable to give her. I wasn't willing to give her. And she has that now. She has 3 beautiful kids, a beautiful home, great job, all that. And I'm happy for her. And at the time, sure, I was mad. I was jealous. I was all that. But here I am now, close to 13 years later, thinking how truly blessed I am that that moment happened, that she woke up one day and said, I'm divorcing him. Because if she hadn't, I can't guarantee that it would have went any better than it has. I can't guarantee it. I have no way of knowing. See, we all think, oh, I'm going to go back in the past. I'm going to change this thing. And then what are you going to do? Are you going to live out the rest of your life there? Because you don't know how it's going to work out. You can't do it. Live like the dog. The dog doesn't remember what it did yesterday. It just keeps going. Folks, be wise with your choices. I'm not saying you got to sit there and be totally... The only person I can think of is Chidi. I don't know if any of you have ever watched The Good Place, but Chidi is the kind of guy that looks at every single decision for far too long. Like, this guy won't pick up a pen without deciding which color pen first. I'm not saying do that. I'm saying decisions that have to do with either your safety or somebody else's safety, take the extra second to think about it. The decisions that you've already made that were turned into mistakes or imperfections or whatever you want to call them, don't think about them. Don't sit there and go, oh, if I hadn't have done this or I hadn't have done that. No, instead, sit here and go, if that hadn't have happened, this in my future wouldn't have happened. And even though that was horrible, this in my future is peaceful. It taught me something that I would have never known unless I had gone through that experience. And yes, I may have hurt someone or I may have been hurt myself, but I am now moving past that and I'm accepting that it happened and I'm taking it as a lesson learned. And I thank God, the Cheesecake Factory, Mother Universe, whatever it may be, Source, say thank you. Understand the lesson you learned and where you are now. And if you're stuck and you're like, yeah, well, it's not the same for me and you don't know how it is, remember what I said earlier. I'm sorry, but it's true. The only person that's holding you back from realizing is you. I love you all. Walk in light.
Until next time, my friends, I ask all people everywhere to plant seeds of love, peace, joy, and oneness. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.